think I'm here to do about two different things. One, I think I'm here to speak about the youth group, and two, I think I'm here to speak about what's sort of gone on in my experience of moving on to TGH, which hasn't been a long experience, it's about 2 weeks. So first, for the youth group, I guess, like Heather was sitting up, talking up here, it's sort of an informal sort of support group, and sitting there, and we're not just transitioning in our hospital, we're transitioning in other areas of our life, like education, like maybe moving out of our parents' house, or things like that. My mother is a drama queen, by the way. I can see her from over here. So things like that maybe you don't necessarily want to speak to your parents about, but maybe want to speak to other people your own age about. And that's what the youth group is there to help and support and do. And it's also something, you know, when you're going through things at 20 years old, 18 years old, 17 years old, you just want to have people around, not even talking about your illness, but just have something fun to do that, you know, you can't do with old people. You can only do with young people. But call me youth group, by the way. Second, as I said earlier, it's only been a 2-week experience, but I think it's actually been a longer experience than that. Maybe not the actual going through TGH doors, but since I was 16 years old, I've been hearing that I'm, you know, not going to be with Doris and Marcia and Dr. Kirby and Dr. O'Donnell anymore. I'm going to be having to leave. So I was 16 years old about 4 years ago, and as you can see, it just happened. What I realized is that the hype is worse than it really is. A lot of these things are hyped up, you know, like, oh my God, you're leaving. You're crossing the street. And yeah, it is a big thing, but what I've realized is you start getting a bit more advice, and you start being told things earlier on. You get to sort of, you know, hold yourself together when you go in. You realize you're seeing a doctor, you're seeing a nurse, you're seeing the secretary in front, you're doing, you know, there's still needles going up your arm, and you're still having to go through those things. It's just the people that have changed. And yeah, you will have to learn how to deal with these people on a new, and create relationships with these people like you created relationships with your previous nurses and doctors. But I think that will eventually work out. I realized my first and only appointment at TGH, it was nice. They all came, they introduced themselves to me, they said this is what's going on. And then it quickly went on into a regular appointment that was exactly the same as it would have been at Sick Kids, except the faces were different. Though I do have some problems, and I'm going to use my podium, my soapbox here to air them. One thing I think that a lot of things that's happening is, maybe, I don't know if it's just in my head, but I think TGH is coming with the perception that, you know, Doris and Marcia and Dr. Kirby and all of them have been taking care of a lot of these kids since, at least some of them, or I think even me, since we were 6 months old. And so there's, you know, not a doctor-patient relationship there. There's a genuine, you know, auntie, you know, niece patient relationship there. And I think this is what I'm thinking, is that maybe the TGH staff is a little bit, I don't know if I'm, you know, going a bit here, but maybe a bit scared to touch that, and a bit scared that they won't be able to create a relationship like that, or the relationship that they will create will have nothing like that, or they won't be able to be as close, and maybe there's that intimidation there that, and I think on our side we're saying that, no, I don't want to leave. It's kind of like leaving your parents and saying, well, no, I've been with these people for 18 years of my life, and now you're telling me to leave them. No, I don't want to do that, and already you're a teenager, and so you know everything, and that's not going to work. So I think everyone, you know, and I even think the Sick Kid side's going on with, we've known these kids since, you know, they were children. Why do we have to why do they have to leave us? So I think everyone's having these sort of fears inside of their head that I think if we kind of got over them and kind of realized at the end of the day, everyone wants to make sure that we're feeling well for the rest of our lives, and that we can leave read Save Productive Lives. Though, there are some, like, one thing that I realized from the onset, and I think this brought maybe a bit of anger when I was going to TGH, like I had a sort of a cloud over my head my first day there, was the appointment schedules. I'm used to getting a really pretty card in a really pretty envelope, someone wrote it out, and it gets mailed to my house. And then TGH calls me the week before and they're like, yo, you got an appointment in 1 week, and you have to be there. And I was like, no, this isn't gonna happen. That's a week ago. I'm used to knowing about my appointments about 2 months beforehand, and here I am finding out about it a week ahead. And well, actually I found out about it on like the night after the appointment had happened because of telephone. And you know, I kind of got angry, and then I went there, everything, you know, it kind of got itself sorted out, and it was like, okay, you're gonna be making your appointments when you get, you know, before you leave. And I was good when I left. And then a week later, I got called the day before that I had an appointment the next day. And I was kind of like, you know, I thought this was sorted out. And usually if this was at Sick Kids, I'd sort of call up Doris or I'd call up Marcy and it's like, what's going on here? But I haven't created a very strong, you know, connection or relationship with these people, which I'm sure I'm going to since I'm planning on being there, you know, until I'm 100 years old or something. Long life is what I'm looking for. But at that moment, it was like all this anger came back up again. It's like, I thought we sorted it out, it didn't sort out. I don't really know them. So it's kind of like these strangers are, you know, kind of screwing me over. But I'm sure, you know, on my appointment tomorrow, it'll be something that's going to be, you know, dealt with. But what I'm thinking, since I think because they are still strangers, every little thing that happens is like this great big offense to me. And while I'm sure that there are things that need to be sort of hammered out and sorted out and things that need to be dealt with, I'm having to pull back, but I'm also having to, despite the fact that they are doctors and despite the fact that they're going to be treating me, you know, in my adult mode instead of in my child mode, I'm also, when I do go to my appointment tomorrow, though I have told them today, I will be having to bring that up. Because despite I am an adult now, and when I go there, I'm going to have to say, look, this is, regardless of this being, of coming from Doris and Marcia, that's not being spoiled by them. That's sort of, that's the day before, and I live all the way in Brampton, and having to come downtown to TGH for an appointment is not in my best interest, and it's something that I probably wouldn't have done if I wasn't already downtown, and could lead, if that's the way that things are going to happen, could lead to me missing a great deal of appointments, which isn't, you know, going to lead to me living to 100 years old. So it's something that, you know, tomorrow, or if I wasn't here today, it would have been something that I'm going to have to be strong enough to realize I'm not a child anymore. I'm not dealing with these people that I've dealt with since I was 6 months old and, you know all my report card grades and everything like that, but are people that I'm going to have to be dealing with as an adult. And that's also, I think, going to be a lesson for me, is, you know, I'm 20 years old now. I'm going to be treated like an adult, and I have to act like an adult in return. So I think it's a lesson that maybe I'm getting here that maybe other 20-year-olds outside wouldn't have the opportunity to get.